I think we need to get to the would and can.
Okay, okay. I mean, I'm not trying to be personally difficult here. I'm just trying to sort of openly clarify what we're all doing.
No, I appreciate your comments. I mean, we need to, I think it's very important that we, for once, all be on the same page, all going in the same direction. And that's why I would tell you personally, I don't think we're even close to negotiating anything with Mr. Rose. I think he came, he made a presentation, and I think our next step is to say, come in and tell us that, yeah, we like your idea, you piqued our interest. Come on in and tell us a little bit more. I think that's where we're at.
Okay, I mean,
it's my opinion if I think where we're at.
I would definitely agree that you want to make sure that the process is as transparent as possible. And I mean, I think also in terms of setting up any committees to work on a proposal, I think maybe we might want to consider doing something like that in terms of committees of a committee of the council committee of the whole, rather than setting up some sort of committee that is made up of community stakeholders from the get-go. I mean, I think there's a difference. We were talking about he's given us a concept, and now he needs to give us a full proposal. Is it, and I'm kind of thinking out loud here, but I mean, it seems to me there's different ways for that to go. I mean, for instance, if you did an RFP, you would be winding up getting back full proposals from different developers, and so you would have it as your starting point, not just a presentation from a developer and a concept, but you'd also have a full proposal in hand to look at. We don't have this. We don't have this with Mr. Rose. We've had a presentation on a concept, and now we're committing to working with one developer to do a full proposal. So the question then becomes, okay, you could just ask him for a full proposal and then evaluate that, or your email indicated something about setting up a committee to work with him on developing a full proposal, and I just think, given the past history on this issue and how heated things have been and everything, that there's a difference between, say, working on a full proposal, having a committee working on a full proposal, and say having a committee working on the things after a contract has been negotiated. The small things like, okay, what's it going to look like, input on what's it going to look like architecturally, input on what the landscaping is going to be like, input on how the amphitheater layout is going to work. I think that's something that you could do with community stakeholders. But if you're talking about putting together a full proposal that's going to decide what the major components of the project are, and I think that's something that should be done by a council of the whole meetings or committee meetings that all council members and administration are present at, so that they're open to the public, and the public is participating in some of the meetings, maybe just witnessing others, but so that whole process of developing that full proposal is open to the community. Because I think, as anybody who has recollections of the past history of developing some of the plans that we've developed in the past, knows that if you wind up setting up a committee of stakeholders and you have 2 council members serving them on that committee and 5 who are not, you ultimately wind up having a certain group of stakeholders who worked on the plan, who are very vested in the plan because they spent so much time developing it, and then other people who were not part of the plan and are just arriving at it near the very end of the process, and then that creates a lot of tension rather than having everybody's input all together from the beginning. So those are just some of my, off the top of my head, thoughts about things that might be considered in terms of looking at getting this process started.
I agree with a lot of what you said, and I will just add one little caveat. Sometimes it's hard to work with a developer and have their negotiations be public.
Well, contract negotiations, I understand, have to be done by the administration in private. I understand when you get to an actual contract negotiation that that's very different. What I was talking about was development of a proposal or a plan.
I appreciate the comments.
I do have something on another topic altogether, and that is that I think we've all been getting a lot of information from the Lighthouse Conservancy Group, and I am wondering if we are at the point where it is possible for council to formally consider what they're proposing now. It's my understanding that they're now proposing a temporary location on the waterfront, so that they are no longer proposing all of the restrictions that they were previously, and they have an interest in moving ahead with that so that the project can be ready for the 2013 events in the fall. And so I'm wondering if there is a way, I guess, to express support for getting some sort of resolution on the table to look at accepting the lighthouse for a temporary location and deferring any permanent plans for down the road, but if it can be at a temporary location that's not going to interfere with proposed development.
Actually, I sent a letter to Mr. Norgard, emails to Mr. Norgard today. I've been emailing with Mr. Thomas and with Mr. Norgard over the last week. And my last email with Mr. Norgard is that we're going to sit down with the Conservancy once we can determine the dates of when the trail is going to be put in, what's going to go around the Dewey Pond and across the back of the wetlands. And also the Army Corps of Engineers is going to do some lakefront enhancement and stabilizing of the shoreline in probably all three of the places that they picked out. So we need to get some dates as to when those things are going to happen, and how putting the lighthouse could impede or that issue. So once we get those issues solved, which we hope to come up with some dates rather quickly, we're going to meet with the Conservancy and talk about where it can exactly be placed and how we're going to do that. So we have been in conversation. So that was my last email with them.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate being updated on the status of that. And that's all I have tonight, Madam President.
This is now. Okay. Oh, Ms. Banco, did you read your statement to the clerk of the county?
I'll give it a couple.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say that I agree with Ms. Banco that I think that the council kind of shut out in the beginning of all this, but we didn't know that the mayor was negotiating with Mr. Rhodes. And had he come to us and said that he was negotiating, I think we all would have gone with me, you know. But so with that background and what's happened since, and I don't think any of us are against moving forward, and I don't think anybody is against Mike Rhodes. But I do think that Ms. Banker's idea of including the entire council, at least for a few meetings, to start getting on the right, since we don't have an RFP, and we never had, we didn't have any proposal where we set out different regulations that we wanted someone to answer, the developer. That's how it's normally done. So this is rather an unusual situation, and I think it would be good for council. I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I know for myself that I think that we should all be brought together for some kind of a meeting to discuss what are important items to us and to our constituents as far as what needs to be set forth. So that's my comment on that.
Mr. Rose did make a comment that he would be willing to come up and make another presentation.
Oh, I'm sure.
And we may ask him to just come and do one in the council chamber.
I think he very well needs to work with us. Yeah, I get that idea. I just want to mention that the Laws, Rules, and Ordinance meeting will be March 26th at 6:30, and we're going to have a guest speaker. It's going to be Mr. Kent Johnson. He's going to talk to us about some laws, rules, and ordinances that we discussed. So. And he's right on top of that. March 26th at 6:30. Thank you. Also, the community garden meeting, the first, spring is just around the corner, as I told you. It's going to be at the Mel's House at 105 Hayes Avenue on March the 20th at 6 o'clock. And please come if you're interested in gardening, or if you think you might be interested in gardening. And we'll have cookies and coffee free. So thank you very much, Madam President.
Schneider.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a quick reminder that the Emergency Services Committee will meet next Tuesday at 5:30. That's the 19th. Just a quick reminder to all the folks out there in the various emergency services groups, law enforcement, fire, EMS, sign up for Emergency Services Olympics. Runs through the end of this month with events starting in April. Another reminder about the Kiwanis event that Mr. Koppler and I are working with our fellow Kiwanians with, the Circles of Influence. We're asking that anyone in attendance bring a canned food item so we can help the St. Vincent de Paul Food Pantry. We'll be collecting these food items throughout the month of March. The Easter egg hunt, Jen Porter wanted me to remind everyone, the Easter egg hunt is going to take place on Saturday, March 30th at the courthouse lawn at 10 o'clock. She is in need of candy. If anyone's interested in dropping off candy, they can do it here at the City Hall. The fireworks fund. I have the contract in hand. Well, not right now, but it's at my office. We need $8,000 to $10,000 to put on the 4th of July. As it stands right now, we have just over $4,200. The drop dead date is the first part of May to determine whether or not we're going to have fireworks in the city of Port Clinton. Letters are being sent out, the calls are being made, plans are being made to have other fundraisers to try to arrange the additional funds needed. So if you're interested in writing a check with a lot of zeros, you can make that payable to, you like that? You can make that payable to the Port Clinton Chamber of Commerce Foundation. In the memo section, put the word fireworks. The address for the Chamber of Commerce is 110 Madison Street here in Port Clinton, and I'll give you a big hug. Was it last weekend that they did the climb? 2 weeks ago. Sometime in the past 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 Port Clinton firefighters competed over in Cleveland in Terminal Tower in the American Lung Association Climb for Clean Air. In full turnout gear, 40, 45 pounds-ish of stuff, they climbed 42 flights of stairs. That's 802 steps. The 3 competitors, Jason Adkins, did that flight in 13 minutes, 31 seconds. Matt Horn did it in 10 minutes, 56 seconds. And Jay Edwards completed the 42 flights in 10 minutes, 37 seconds, which is amazing. The winner was just under 10 minutes, going up 802 individual steps, which is amazing. The tip from the chief comes from Fire Chief Ken Johnson. By show of hands, this past weekend was Spring Ahead. How many changed the batteries in their smoke alarms? Very good. Very good. I think that we have some batteries here if anyone is interested in picking up some batteries to change your smoke alarms and CO detectors. A couple quick questions related to the topic at hand. Mayor Leone, when did you first meet with Mr. Rose? When did you first know that he was interested in coming to Port Clinton and providing?
I cannot give you an exact date because I don't have that.
Was it before?
It's been good.
But before or after we had the vote for John Deere?
It's a good question. I can't answer that off the top of my head. I believe it was before, but I'm not sure on that.
Okay, okay. And to Madam President and Commissioner, I know there's 2 other people yet to speak yet, but I think they both submitted emails as I did. Have you heard anything tonight that leads you to believe, yes, you want to go ahead and start conversations with Mr. Rose, or no, you don't want to begin conversations with Mr. Rose?
I think we want to
I think it went on.
talk to him. And if it's him meeting with just a committee or meeting with the council.
Can you guys talk louder, please?
No.
Can you whisper louder, please?
My response to Mr. Snyder is yes, I think we still want to move forward.
Thank you.
And either meet with him individually or with a small committee, or meet with him with the council.
And my personal observation of Mr. Rose and knowing that I think he is willing to open up to ideas and concepts. I believe he has been in town. I've heard through the grapevine that he walked into Magruder Hospital and sat down at a few tables at lunch and walked into the library. I know he's made a few phone calls to some business leaders in the community, one of which I transferred to a business leader. So I think he's trying to get input from the committee and is open. I've not had direct contact with him, but is open to some of the thoughts that have been expressed here tonight at the meetings in the community. So I don't think what we saw on paper is set in stone. So that's just my opinion. With that, thank you.
Yeah, I just had a quick comment. You know, I'm new to council, and so I don't have all the background in the past negotiations and developments and different things, but a lot of time has passed, and I've, you know, read about it in papers and stuff, but while all this has been going on, our city's been going down the tubes. And so I just really hope that, it seems like everybody likes Mr. Rose and they have faith in him, and so I just hope that we can really come together and move forward, because I come from a tourist background. I worked at the Visitors Bureau, and people would... Tourists.
Okay.
We love tourists. But people would come into the Visitors Bureau and wanted nothing to do with Port Clinton. It's the ghetto, we don't want to go there, there's nothing to do there. And it would just break my heart, because I'm born and raised here and I love this city. So I just really hope that we can not have, you know, all internal fighting and all that, and work together and get a good proposal, and, you know, hopefully everybody's on board with, and move forward, because I do believe we need to do something here, because we need to do something. So that's... Mr. Woodstruck.
Not to be repetitive, but again, Mike Rose presented the concept. The concept includes embracing downtown, not just focusing on the waterfront, which I think is important. And the issue with JMBM, the RFP, an RFP had already been done. We'd already spent the money. The verbiage did not change from what our desire was to create a mixed-use development with use of public land and keeping it public. We had it on file. We already had it, the draft for it to be sent out. And it's a concept he presented, which is a template. You can tweak, you can add, you mold off of it. And it was clear that he made it clear that he wants the community to be involved, and he made it clear that the community needs to be involved, because if you don't have community buy-in, it won't be a successful project. And I think it's time to have conversation with them and to move on, and let's do something and get something done.
Our Mr. Police, or Fire Chief, Police Chief, would you give your name and address? Because the clerk needs to enter it into the record. Okay.
Name, Benjamin William Lucas. Address, 1931 North Carriage Lane.
Thank you very much. Members of the audience, Mr. Yamini.
Jerry Yunke, 117 Cedar Street.